President Donald Trump has issued a stern warning to Iran, declaring that any retaliation following the U.S. military's targeted strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities would be met with overwhelming force. The dramatic move, announced on Saturday night, marks a major escalation in a conflict that began on June 13th when Israel launched a surprise offensive on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. In a televised address from the East Room of the White House, flanked by Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, President Trump declared that the strikes were a spectacular military success, stating Iran's key enrichment sites had been totally obliterated. Shortly before his address, Trump took to Truth Social to reinforce his message in all caps. Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. The U.S. strikes targeted Iran's Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan nuclear sites, locations long monitored by international agencies and intelligence communities for their roles in uranium enrichment and advanced nuclear development. While no formal damage report has yet been released by the Pentagon, President Trump posted an image from an open-source intelligence monitor suggesting that Fordow was completely destroyed. This site, built deep underground to shield it from attack, would likely have required precision strikes using B-2 stealth bombers equipped with bunker-busting munitions, reportedly launched from Missouri and flown over the Pacific. Addressing the nation, Trump praised the American military as unparalleled in its capabilities. "There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close," he said. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. He reminded viewers of Iran's history of anti-American and anti-Israeli rhetoric, stating, "There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days." Iran confirmed its nuclear facilities were struck, but has yet to provide detailed information on the extent of the damage. Iranian officials, however, have warned that U.S. involvement significantly increases the danger of broader regional war. The country's foreign minister called the American attacks very, very dangerous for everyone. Iran has long claimed its nuclear program is strictly for peaceful energy purposes, but its increased uranium enrichment after the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear agreement has reignited global fears that Tehran is pursuing a nuclear weapon. The June 21st strikes represent a critical turning point in the confrontation, as the United States has now officially aligned itself with Israel's military campaign to dismantle Iran's nuclear infrastructure. President Trump, who unilaterally withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018, argued that diplomatic efforts had failed and that Iran had no intention of abandoning its nuclear ambitions. "We are acting now so we don't have to face a nuclear-armed Iran later," he said. International reaction has been swift. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised the U.S. president's actions as a triumph of peace through strength, commending Trump for taking decisive steps to eliminate what he called the world's most dangerous regime from acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. In Washington, Republican leaders largely backed the operation. House Speaker Mike Johnson emphasized that the move sends a clear signal to both enemies and allies that President Trump means what he says. Senate Majority Leader John Thune echoed that sentiment, insisting that Iran's theocratic regime had spurned all diplomatic avenues and that military intervention was necessary to halt their nuclear ambitions. However, not all reactions in Washington were supportive. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie voiced constitutional concerns, criticizing the strike as unauthorized and introducing a bipartisan war powers resolution to prevent any future unilateral military action against Iran without congressional approval. Massie argued that only Congress has the constitutional authority to declare war, warning that unchecked executive power poses a danger to democratic principles. As tensions remain high, the world watches closely to see whether Iran will retaliate or reconsider its next move. President Trump has made it clear that any hostile response will not go unanswered. For now, the global balance stands on a knife's edge, with the future of the Middle East hanging in the balance.